Hey gamers, this is John of Video Games and the World. Today we are having a conversation about the pro-environmental message of Final Fantasy VII as said on the title, Final Fantasy VII and the Environment. In this day and age, we have a lot of conversations about the environment, climate change, and how we can prevent global warming. So, I decided to play Final Fantasy VII once more and learn about its pro-environmental message. Now, in terms of climate change, there are more and more people believing in it every day. But some, well, they just do not think it's real, like a certain someone I cannot even mention. Yeah, this is another Final Fantasy themed episode. We talked about Final Fantasy this season regarding the retelling of the War of the Roses and the 100 Years' War. But since this remake is coming on March, I want to take this opportunity to talk about the message of pro-environmentalism in the game. And like in the episode of Final Fantasy Tactics that I spoke of, the game also sends a message about the abuse of power and the consequences that come with it. As you all know, Final Fantasy VII is one of the most loved and respected titles of the series. It is the first game in the series to feature 3D rendered characters, CGI scenarios, and a compelling storyline that spawns sequels and prequels. Now, this will have major spoilers from the original game as well as that of Crisis Core, its prequel. You've been warned, so let us begin. The story of Final Fantasy VII is about a mercenary called Cloud Strife, who joins an eco-terrorist group called Avalanche. This group is dedicated to fight against the powerful Shinra Corporation, which is using Mako reactors to drain the planet of its lifeblood called Mako, to use as a source of energy. The more Mako the reactors drain, the more it pollutes the planet, killing it. What begins as a battle against a tyrannical corporation would later become a battle to save the world from impending doom. Everyone loves this game so much due to the story, visuals, music, gameplay, and graphics. However, this game was talking about what happens if we willingly let our planet continue to be polluted to the point where it becomes unstable, that our ozone layer is destroyed, causing the polar ice caps to melt and flood our world Waterworld style. Good movie, even if so many hate it in my opinion. As said in the story, the militant eco-terrorist group called Avalanche is trying to stop an evil corporation known as Shinra Inc. from destroying the planet in pursuit of Mako energy. In the beginning, prior to the events of the game, the Shinra was a weapons manufacturing company, but then they discovered a process to refine the planet's life energy, the life stream, into a form of energy they called Mako. Capitalizing on this revolutionary energy source, the company installed Mako reactors all over the globe, and their influence in financial gains grew by leaps and bounds. Shinra Inc. branched out into many cutting-edge industries, most prominently genetics engineering research. Head executive President Shinra saw the developed world become dependent on the company's Mako energy and various other commodities, and further tightened its grip on the planet. Shinra acts as the de facto world government that builds Mako reactors in each occupied town or region. These reactors absorb the planet's lifeblood, the life stream, into a form of energy that they call Mako, to use it as a non-renewable source. But by doing so, at the same time, they pollute the planet and kill it very slowly. And in one part of the game, during our hero's journey, Bujin Heijin states that should all the lifestream be absorbed, the planet will die. In this world, national armies have been replaced by Shinra's private military, becoming a force that exists to defend a corporation's assets instead of a civilian population. Indeed, that same military is frequently turned against the citizens a national army would exist to protect. An example of military action against those who oppose the company is the Wutai War. The people of Wutai refused to let the Shinra build a Mako reactor, and thus economically rule the nation like the rest of the world. Goto Kisaragi led a resistance against the Shinra, but the company had an advantage over them. How? They had more advanced technology such as planes, machine guns, robots, and a genetically enhanced special forces unit called Soldier. Godo Kisaragi, after putting up so much of his resistance, surrendered the control of his homeland to the Shinra. To show his surrender, he banned the use of materia. Wutai, once the last bastion of resistance against Shinra, was reduced to a tourist trap. Yuffie Kisaragi, disgusted with her father's capitulation, left Wutai to search the world for materia that could save her homeland. Shinra became the unquestioned ruler of the planet, and the company opted to privatize the job of Midgar's urban development by offering the responsibility to one of its board members. And now half of that city's population lives in garbage-riddled subterranean ghettos. When forced to choose, a corporate government always prioritizes its own economic well-being over its citizens' livelihoods. President Shinra, in one of his final acts before his death, even slaughters an entire neighborhood to wipe out the 6 activists threatening his operation. Being as incompetent as he is heartless, he only manages to eliminate 3. On that note, Corel was a coal mining village whose citizens were concerned their industry was becoming obsolete. Shinra convinced the town to allow the construction of one of their hazardous Mako reactors by promising them new prosperity and the preservation of their way of life. At first, Barrett supported this, but his friend Dine was not supportive of it, because he was very protective of his old way of life and the coal miners. When that reactor malfunctioned, Shinra blamed the citizens of Coral and, as retribution, ordered its private military to destroy the town and massacre its people. Gold Saucer, the aforementioned amusement park, was built on the ruins. The survivors established North Coral, the derelict slum by which is accessed. Those sorts of promises do not get kept. The Shinra also had control of the media and created a propaganda news service known as Shinra News, whose main purpose is to declare those considered disloyal to Shinra dead and to distort events to Shinra's favor. In protest of Shinra's lies, an anti-Shinra news service called Shinra Truths appeared. Both can be viewed as emails in Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII. When the eco-terrorist group Avalanche was formed to combat the Shinra, many people have been killed during the attacks on Mako reactors in Midgar. Both Shinra, troops, and innocents alike. According to Barrett Wallace, casualties are a part of war, which indeed it is true, as both enemy and soldiers die, and innocents are tragically caught in the crossfire. However, the Shinra destroyed Sector 7 as a warning to those who oppose them, which actually proves how evil they truly are in trying to protect their work in contaminating the planet. A representative comment about the corporation is Barrett saying, "They're evil and destroying our planet just to build their power and line their own damn pockets with gold. If we don't get rid of them, they're gonna kill this planet." The downfall of the Shinra began when President Shinra is murdered by Sephiroth, who plans to summon Meteor and destroy the planet. The president's son, Rufus Shinra, takes over the company, and he is even more ruthless than his own father, as he plans to control the world with fear. What the Shinra are looking for to start their Neo Midgard project is the Promised Land, located in the Northern Crater, so they can exploit the large supply of Mako energy. But their dreams are cut short as Sephiroth summons Meteor. The weapons, the planet's defense mechanism, are awakened and attack Shinra's sites of power. Shinra fails to destroy the Meteor with the Shinra No. 26 rocket, a relic of its short-lived space exploration program. In an attempt to destroy the energy barrier created by Sephiroth at North Crater, Shinra fires the Sister Ray, a powerful Mako cannon added. Its beam also destroys Diamond Weapon that fires a salvo of energy, damaging the Shinra building, and most likely killing Rufus Shinra in the process. While the world is facing a crisis, the Avalanche group fights off the Shinra, who are trying to obtain huge materia by stealing it from various places, such as Fort Condor, North Corel, the bottom of the sea near Junon, and the Shinra No. 26 rocket. In the end, Avalanche emerges victorious against the Shinra, and 3 years later, it is reborn as a World Regenesis organization to help restore the planet. Final Fantasy VII was released in 1997, and in that same year, there were environmental concerns, such as one of the most severe El Niño events recorded in history. Concern over a hole in the ozone layer had become mainstream, and December of that year would be to see the signing of the Kyoto Protocol. Even people would protest years later against a Canadian mining company called Barrick Gold due to contaminating many areas such as Cotuí in the Dominican Republic. In the game, we also know how Shinra wanted to put a reactor in Koro but later destroyed the town after the reactor malfunctioned. Dine was the one who spoke against it. Similarly, in real life, we remember the incident in North Dakota with the Axis pipeline, which so many people were strongly against. A militarized state police force cracked down on private citizens to protect the business interests of an energy corporation. Already, there is talk of defunding, privatizing, or eliminating public services such as vital as Social Security, the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, and the public school system. Already, the Secret Service is becoming something closer to Shinra's similarly black-suited Turks, now that they're also being tasked with defending privately owned tower named for a corporate autocrat. Already, like President Shinra, a gasbag who sleazed and bullied his way into power is condoning violence against his own citizens and has signaled his willingness to forcibly quell dissent. Many bad presidents and leaders can be very similar to Rufus Shinra, loving the sound of their own voices. Tyrants like these use their newly acquired position as the most powerful men and women in the world to pursue their agenda of personal enrichment and glorification. When it comes to the game talking about environmentalism, it doesn't focus on the dangers of taking long showers, failing to turn off the lights or the TV when leaving the room, etc. Instead, it focuses on blaming those in power for polluting the planet. There are bad leaders that abuse their power to obtain what they want and believing that it is for the good of all. They would go so far in killing people to protect their power and own interests. They would even eliminate people with the slightest form of dissidence as well. There are always those in power on the verge of repeating a senseless and deadly mistake, as said in the intro to Final Fantasy VI. In the game, we know that Sephiroth summons Meteor, the weapons awaken, and indiscriminately destroy various areas due to humanity's willful ruination of the planet. This is a natural analog for the disasters of climate change. With a climate change denying leader entrusting someone with the same view running environmental protections, it is more than likely that the world will suffer a crisis. 8 years after the release of Final Fantasy VII, we had a movie sequel titled Final Fantasy VII Advent Children. The movie retcons humanity's destruction and offers the world a chance to heal, even extending redemption to Rufus Shinra, who nevertheless survived. We might be just the same as Cloud and his allies during the beginning and conclusion of their journey regarding the fight to protect the environment from those in power that want to destroy it. And finally, in conclusion, all I can say is that although the game doesn't talk about wasting water or failing to turn off the TV and the lights when leaving the room, it tells about what happens to our world if we ignore the environmental disasters that are to occur due to our willful destruction of the planet. Writing this episode makes me say that we have to come together in cleaning the environment and encourage others to do the same. Because as a species, all we have is one planet. We are not like scientifically advanced enough to find a planet capable of sustaining human life yet. I believe in recycling as well because that helps save our planet. Kind of like Jeff Goldblum's character in the movie Independence Day. I can't wait for the Final Fantasy VII Remake and play the heck out of it. Hopefully, it has the same message as well. Until next time, gamers, this is John, host of Video Games and the World. Have a good one. Peace out.